A very good evening to all of you. We have been discussing the novel The Great Gatsby, written by American writer F. Scott Fitzgerald. And in our previous lecture, we have already covered the aspects such as the plot of the novel, and then we have discussed some of the important characters. In the last lecture, we have discussed the novels such as Nick Carraway, who is the narrator of the novel, and then Daisy Buchanan and Tom Buchanan. The next important character in this particular novel is Jordan Baker. Like Nick Carraway, even Jordan Baker is to some extent a passive character. She is also like a keen observer of the people around her, but to some extent, Nick Carraway finds her too as having some corrupt qualities which are there among the other people in that particular society. So, coming to the character of Jordan Baker, she is a young woman, beautiful, and she is golf player, and she also belongs to aristocratic family of Long Island. She has very close connections to Tom and Daisy, and it seems that throughout the novel, Jordan Baker is someone who keeps secrets with her, secrets of others. For example, when we see her conversation with Nick Carraway at the house of Tom and Daisy, she tells Nick Carraway about the illicit relationship of Tom with some other girl called Myrtle Wilson outside the marital affair, outside the marriage. So she tells about this extramarital affair to Nick Carraway. So this is one incident where she seems to know, and that is why we can call her as a precocious character. She seems to know many things and many secrets about others. The next incident which shows this character of Jordan Baker is when she goes into the party, one of the parties organized by J. Gatsby, and J. Gatsby invites this woman also to his parties. And in one of those parties, there is a lot of humor, there is a lot of rumor going on about J. Gatsby and his wealth. And during one of such parties, where even Nick has attended this party, Jordan Baker is called upon by J. Gatsby, and J. Gatsby tells some secrets about himself, about his past to Jordan Baker. So it seems that for the other characters in the novel, maybe other characters might be feeling that Jordan Baker is trustworthy. So even here, J. Gatsby tells her the secret about his past relationship with Daisy and how even now he desires for Daisy. So here also she is the holder of this secret, but unfortunately she does not keep all those secrets to herself. She keeps them revealing to some extent to some other people also. So here we can see that she is not really a trustworthy person as other people think her to be. So this is one aspect of the personality of Jordan Baker. And another important aspect we need to understand here is that Jordan Baker is, to some extent, she is indifferent and uninvolved character. We see that she is indifferent. She is not, she knows many secrets about others, but she does not like to involve herself in others' businesses. She just is very casual in her attitude towards treating others. She does not have too much emotions towards a particular person, although we see that there is some kind of attachment developing between Nick and Jordan, but it is not confirmed. So she is, throughout the novel, she seems to be indifferent to the people around her, indifferent to the emotions of the people around her, and that is why she is uninvolved. She does not like to involve herself too much in the matter of others, and she is a woman with casual attitude. Then another important uh, another important aspect we need to remember about Jordan Baker is that she represents the category of flapper women in America. So, what is this flapper woman or flapper women in America? I have already told you about the roaring 20s and how during that period there was a lot of economic independence, there was a lot of hedonism going on, and people felt that materialistic achievement is a way to freedom, is a way to heaven. During this same period, there was also a revolution in the society. First important thing is that women in American society as well as in English society got their right to vote. We call it women's suffragette movement. If you open the pages of the history, we see that this movement was very strong movement in the 1920s decade. So that was the time when woman came out of home, and for the first time she was mingling with the society around herself. So it gave her a kind of social freedom, a kind of liberty from her own prejudiced or preoccupied or stereotyped professions like sitting in home and managing the household. For the first time she came out in the society, she came out in the public, she started walking amongst the people outside, she started going to the parties outside. So this brought a psychological change in the women. Women started feeling that they are equal to men in all the respects, and a major change happened in their dressing style. So uh, the word flapper comes from a sort of a dressing style which became popular in the 1920s among the American women. So they left their traditional female clothes and they started wearing uh, clothes which were comfortable for them to move around in the public. For example, the old attire, it is in India, it is the sari which we call as the old attire. In the same way, there were the old attires stereotyped, fixed for women in American society, in European societies. But in the 1920s decade, when she started moving out into the public spheres, into the parties, women started preferring more comfortable clothes. And with the clothes, even their attitude to look at the public life also changed. They became more casual towards their treatment of others. They started talking openly about men, about women. They started making friendships with men and women in the society. Their attitude became casual and they started coming out of their comfort zone. So such kind of women were seen in the 1920s society, and especially that was the lot of younger generation, and that is how F. Scott Fitzgerald has tried to portray this character. She is a representation of the flapper generation of women who were a little careless, not in real sense careless, but they were disinterested in others' matters. They minded their own business and they became very casual in their attitude. So, these are the aspects that Fitzgerald has tried to show in the character of Jordan Baker. So, this is about Jordan Baker. So, these are the 5 important characters in the novel. We call them as the major characters in this novel. Coming to the other important characters, there is Myrtle Wilson. Of course, there are several of them, but I will not be discussing much about them because they are minor characters. But Myrtle Wilson, yes, she is important because she is also a woman who is dreaming for the American lifestyle or the dream of American lifestyle. One thing we need to remember about Myrtle Wilson is that she is a poor woman. Like, she has married a poor man who is a small owner of a garage, so there is no chance that he can earn so much money through his garage, and she is unhappy in this marriage because of poverty. So that drives her to have an extramarital affair relation with Tom Buchanan, who was rich. So maybe she had this psychology feeling that if she has affair with a rich man, she might be respected in the society. Um, she might gain a better social status if she has a relationship with, if she has acquaintance with the man Tom Buchanan, who belonged to an aristocratic society. She is, again, we can call her as an infidel woman, because already she is married, but she is having a secret affair with Tom Buchanan, and they both have a separate apartment in New York to spend time whenever they go to New York. But unfortunately, this is a very tragic character, because Myrtle Wilson is killed in an accident, road accident, when um, Daisy and Jay Gatsby were driving down from New York to East Egg. Unfortunately, she dies in that accident, and her dream of achieving the aristocratic life remains unfulfilled. So that is how is the character of Myrtle Wilson, symbolizing the failure to attain, or the failure to achieve, the American dream, which was desired by many people in America during those times. So that completes our discussion on the major characters of this novel. Then there are some minor characters, such as Mayor Wolfsheim, who is calling himself a friend and mentor of Jay Gatsby, but he is also shown to be a hypocrite, because when someone calls friend of someone else, they have to, that person has to take up the responsibility of friendship, and it is here that Mayor Wolfsheim fails in maintaining this friendship with Jay Gatsby. That is why I said he is also a kind of a hypocrite. Although he might be belonging to a rich aristocratic society, it is he who has introduced Jay Gatsby into the world of organized crime, and it is he who has helped Jay Gatsby earn so much wealth, although through negative means. But he claims that he was like a godfather who brought Jay Gatsby into the world of aristocratic people. But if he is really a friend of Gatsby, he should have attended the funeral, right? But unfortunately, when Nick Carraway calls up Mayor Wolfsheim and informs him that Jay Gatsby is dead, Mayor Wolfsheim just writes a letter in reply, and he does not come to attend the funeral. So this shows the bitterness of the people who were living in that particular society, who called themselves as friends of others but failed to maintain this friendship. And that is how we see that it is also a negative character. He is a hypocrite. Then the other important character, minor character of course, is George Wilson. Now we should call him a really poor and unfortunate man. Of course he is economically poor, but the poor fellow doesn't know that he is being utilized to do some wrong works. George Wilson is basically poor because he owns a small garage, and he is living in the clumsy slum area called the Valley of Ashes, which lies between between Long Island and New York City. So here he is basically poor, and the poor fellow doesn't know that his wife is having an affair with Tom Buchanan. And on the way from East Egg to New York, Tom often fools around him, cheats him, but he doesn't know that he is being cheated. So in the world of the corrupt people, only George Wilson and Nick Carraway, of course, they are really innocent people who don't know how to play around with people around them. So he is an innocent poor man, but unfortunately he is utilized to do a murderous act. When Tom comes to know that it was Jay Gatsby's car, he instigates George Wilson, saying that he calls him and tells, I know the owner of the car, and it is a man called Jay Gatsby, and he instigates him to commit the murder of Jay Gatsby. But the poor fellow, after committing the murder, after shooting Jay Gatsby dead in his swimming pool, he shoots himself and dies. So we have to analyze this character from this angle. You see, he is poor. He did not dream of a rich and luxurious life unlike his wife did. But unfortunately, he had to die because his life had a meaning when he had a wife with him. But when the wife was dead, when the wife died, he becomes mental patient. He becomes a madman and commits this murder. And after that, he commits suicide and dies there. So this is a really tragic character about whom we feel a lot of pity and we feel sympathy. So this is another character, a minor character. And then towards the end of the novel, of course there are some other characters like Owl Eyes, who is in charge of the library of Jay Gatsby's house, and then Clip Springer, um, who is employed as a musician, part-time musician in the house of Jay Gatsby, but unfortunately he also doesn't turn up for the funeral. So these are not very important characters. I will not be discussing much about them. Another important character is Henry C. Gatz, who is the father of Jay Gatsby. He belongs to a poor class and he comes and attends the funeral, thereby showing that he is a really responsible father. He really has feelings towards his son, and that's why he comes to attend the funeral of his son Jay Gatsby, and he tells Nick how Jay Gatsby, uh, as a young child, was a very promising young man. He tells that if had he lived for so many years, had he lived for a long time, he would become a really great man of America who would be respected by the people of America. He had lots of dreams for his son, but unfortunately he did not know that his son died for a petty cause of mad pursuit of his old lover. So here is Henry Gatz, who represents the poor class, who also represents honesty, who represents faith, and he believes, as a responsible father, he believes in the welfare of his own son, and he comes there, attends the funeral, and he is extremely sad at the news of his son's death. So these are the characters that we see in the novel The Great Gatsby. So that completes our discussion of character analysis in the novel The Great Gatsby. I hope you have understood the character analysis. In my next lecture, I will be discussing about the themes and sub-themes in the novel. Once we do with that, almost the discussion on the novel will be over. So keep watching my channel for the next video. Thank you so much.